This next chapter is all about rational expressions, and rational expressions just means things with fractions in it. We might be adding the fractions, multiplying, dividing, simplifying, solving, but there will be fractions, and generally those fractions aren't just made of numbers, but they also have variables within the fractions. Now, as we start to look at these rational expressions, it's important we know the difference between a term and a factor. Terms are separated with addition and subtraction, things that are added and subtracted together. Factors are separated by multiplication and division, and those are the ones we like best, because when we simplify fractions, we divide common factors out of each term. We never reduce terms, we divide out common factors. They have to be factors, which means by factoring both sides of the equation, or both parts of the fraction, numerator and denominator, we cause each side to have factors. And those factors, as I've been kind of insinuating, are going to make the simplifying much easier. So let's take a look at a couple examples. Let's first do an example that has just factors in it. We'll do 2y to the 10th z to the 3rd over 5y to the 4th, and we're going to divide it by 7y to the 5th z over 10 z to the 4th. Now, the first thing we're going to do with any division problem is we know from our arithmetic days that to divide a fraction means we're really going to multiply by the reciprocal. So I'll keep this first one the same, 2y to the 10th z cubed over 5y to the 4th, and we're going to multiply by the reciprocal of the second part, which is 10z to the 4th over 7y to the 5th z. Now we're going to begin simplifying our factors. There's things that are multiplied together. For example, I see a 10 on top and a 5 on the bottom. If I divide those both by 5, we're left with a 2 on top and nothing on the bottom. We've got a y to the 4th. If I reduce that out with the y to the 10th, 4 of them are gone, and now there's 6 left. Well, I've also got a y to the 5th. I can reduce out the 5, leaving just 1 behind, because we're going to subtract those exponents. We saw that back on our exponent properties. Same thing with the z. I can reduce out the z, and instead of 4, now there's 3 z's left. And I don't think there's any other simplifying I can do, so we've got a 2 times 2, which is a 4. We've got a y to the 1st. And we do have a z cubed and a z cubed, so together that's going to be z to the 6th, all on top in the numerator, and all that's left in the denominator is a 7. So we're just kind of using our exponent properties as we simplify that. That might not be too exciting. What's going to be more exciting is if we have some terms. So let's do 2x plus 6 over 14x plus 6. Notice here we've got some terms that are added. They're both plus 6. We cannot reduce this plus 6 because we only divide factors. Terms are separated by plus and minus. Those 6's are separated by a plus. We cannot reduce them. What we can do, though, is factor. Notice out of the numerator, I can factor out a common factor of 2. And out of the denominator, I can factor out a common factor of 2. And when I do that, now we see the 2's are factors. They're multiplied, so we are allowed to reduce those out, leaving behind our final simplified answer of x plus 3 over 7x plus 3. Let's do another example, maybe one that's a little more involved. Let's do x squared minus 9 over x plus 1 times x squared minus 1 over x squared plus 2x minus 3. All right, it's already multiplication. We can't reduce right now because everything's separated by pluses and minuses. They're terms, so we're going to factor these fractions out. So the first numerator, x squared minus 9, you should recognize that's a difference of squares. That's going to factor to x plus 3, x minus 3. The denominator, x plus 1, there's nothing we can do with that, so we'll keep it the way it is. The second fraction, x squared minus 1, is x plus 1 times x minus 1. And the last denominator, doing a little guess and check to help me factor, x squared is x times x, and 3 is 3 times 1. If the 3 is positive and the 1 is negative, that'll give me the positive 2 in the middle. And then I look to see what can reduce out, because now it's all factors. X plus 3 divides out. X plus 1 divides out. x minus 1 divides out. Everything divided out except for the x minus 3, which is on top. If it's on top by itself, we don't have to write over 1. But be careful if it's on the bottom by itself. We do need to keep it on the bottom and put it under 1. Did not apply in this case. X minus 3 is our final simplified solution. Let's do one more problem to make sure that we've got this down. Let's try x squared minus 2x minus 3 over 9x squared minus 1 times 3x squared minus 7x plus 2 over 4x squared minus 7x minus 15. And let's do divided by x squared minus x minus 2 over 16x squared plus 40x plus 25. So first thing we're going to do is go through and factor each fraction. And as we do, we're going to change that division into a multiplication by flipping over that fraction. So when we factor it, the denominator is going to factor on top. The numerator is going to factor on the bottom. The first one we can kind of see by inspection. That's going to factor to x times x to get the x squared. 3 times 1 will give us negative 3. And if the 3 is negative and the 1 is positive, that gives us the negative 2 in the middle. Good. The denominator is a difference of squares, so that can factor to 3x plus 1 and 3x minus 1. The second fraction is probably going to be the most work for us to factor. 3x squared is 3x times x. 2 is 2 times 1. If I put the 2 over here on the right side, minus 2, and a minus 1 here in the center, we end up getting minus 1 and minus 6, which gives us the minus 7 that we want. So that's good on the factoring. The denominator, get the right color. The denominator, to factor it, 4x squared. It could be 4x times x or 2x times 2. So a little guess and check. Let's try 4x times x with the 15 being 5 times 3. I notice that's going to give me 5 and 12. And if the 12 is negative and the 5 was positive, we would have negative 12 plus 5, which gives us that negative 7 that we want. So get the right color here. Plus 5 and a minus 3. Remember on the last fraction, because it was division, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. And so the 16x squared is going to be 4x times 4x, and the 25 is 5 times 5 with a plus and a plus. In the denominator, what was in the numerator, we're going to do x minus 2 times x plus 1. That's how that one's going to factor. And now all I have to do is see what reduces. I see the 3x minus 1 reduces. I see the x minus 3 reduces. The x plus 1 reduces. The 4x plus 5 reduces. The x minus 2 reduces. And all that is left in this final answer, I'll come up here because I ran out of space. So we'll come up here. But we've just got the 4x plus 5 on top and the 3x plus 1 in the denominator. And we've got our simplified solution. The big key here is as we are simplifying, multiplying and dividing rational expressions, you have to factor first and then reduce. So take a look at doing some of these on the assignment and let your instructor know if you have any questions.